someone who's upset that like black people have more of a say is angry after 8 years of economic, I guess not economic instability, but very little economic gain under Barack Obama. And just anger overall that like a black person became president. Then comes along motherfucking Donald Trump, who literally goes mask off. He doesn't even do the dog whistles in the same way that like previous administrations have done dog whistles. He just straight up says Mexicans are rapists. He just straight up says like, you know, if when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Of course, people are gonna fucking feel a sense of closeness because he's at least telling it like it is in their minds, and he's at least talking for them. He is basically a vector of their anger that they felt for a very long time. And if you can't redirect that anger on the appropriate, legitimate causes, like economic instability, like economic inequality, of course they're gonna fucking, of course that dam is gonna break eventually. And here it is. The dam is breaking right in front of our eyes. What they want to see next. All we see right now is the president tweeting. The Defense Department has denied the request for National Guard. What? This is a situation that also goes directly to President Trump and all of the things. As they should. It's not even that bad down there right now. Oh my God, what is happening? Leader Mitch McConnell, who gave that speech today, saying that it would simply. Okay, maybe it is a fucking literal coup. Holy shit. Overthrew this election. Are you only afraid for the lives of the progressives in Congress? What the fuck is on? Are you only afraid for the lives of the progressives in Congress? Really? While all of this is happening, your goal here is to get a fucking talking point out? No, I'm afraid for the progressives in Congress, especially because they are the main targets of Republican animosity. They're not going to go and like try to fucking kill Pat Toomey or Joe Manchin. They're going to try to kill Ilhan Omar, you dumb fuck. Connects the US Capitol to who's in front of every single fucking ad. They're going to try to kill Nancy Pelosi and they're going to try to kill Ilhan Omar. So very clearly I am worried for the people who are the main fucking targets. Most of the members of Congress I expect have been evacuated from the House chamber. There was a lot. Remember folks, BORTAC units, which is basically the SWAT unit for ICE, were deployed because a Portland court had graffiti, violent graffiti, according to Chad Wolf, acting secretary at the time, said that there was violent graffiti on the side of a fucking federal court building. So they deployed the BORTAC units without any sort of fucking identifying, a badge number or anything like that to kidnap people on the fucking streets. But right now, hogs are literally storming the streets. There's shots fired inside the chamber. In the House of Representatives, and the Defense Department's like, ha, we can't deploy the National Guard, brother. Trying to tackle goals, the first of which clearly was to get. It's not just that, like. And people inside the Capitol to safety, and it looks like that is happening now.
Lisa, have you seen any members who are embracing these protesters, supporting them? Because we know a number of them are supporting the idea of objecting to the electoral results.
You know, I am looking. I do not.
They're coming for Mitch McConnell? Oh no. They're using the scaffolding.
It's embarrassing.
Where they
Fox News is declaring this a victory for the protesters? No way.
I believe Bill Hemmer, I believe you take it over from here.
Yeah, thank you, Dana. What an extraordinary sight this is. Thank you. Good coverage
they're
there.
taking
We'll see
someone
where it
out.
goes. Good afternoon, everyone. From Atlanta, 3 o'clock here. I'm Bill Hemmer, 3 o'clock at our nation's capital, where it has all gone sideways. You're watching the Capitol building on lockdown. Supporters of President Trump
They're taking someone out in a
flooding that
stretcher.
building. Reports that protesters are in the Senate chamber. There are some photos online of some protesters on the dais inside the Senate with their fist raised in the air, shouting Trump won the election. One of the most critical times in...
This is what...
So we're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol, and we're going to try and give... The Democrats are hopeless. They're never voting for anything. Not even one vote. But we're going to try and give our Republicans the weak ones because the strong ones don't need any of our help. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I want to thank you all. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you all for being here. This is incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I mean, he didn't say storm the building or something. It is planned. Breaking a store. No. The Defense Department has just denied a request by DC officials. I don't think this is like on purpose. They're fist fighting the police. Yo, what happened, dude? What fucking happened, dude? When it was BLM? Yeah, reminder to what Capitol security and full military grade riot gear looked like for Black Lives Matter protests this summer. Hey, guys. Hey, that looks a little different, dude. That looks a little different, doesn't it? That does look a little different. It's kind of weird. I wonder why, when it's a legitimate cause, when it's a legitimate grievance against systemic problems, this is how the government reacts. When it's an illegitimate grievance because Donald Trump, a fucking psychopathic, narcissistic man baby, is upset that he lost the election fair and fucking square, or rather, they couldn't suppress the vote enough. God knows they tried. That's the other part of this equation. The real reason why Donald Trump lost is because of COVID, because of his mishandling of COVID, and because of the fact that COVID also opened up an avenue for so many more Americans to be able to vote. Whether it be the allowance of universal ballot registration, whether it be mail-in ballots and early voting and ease of access to vote, that is the reason why Donald Trump lost. He also picked up a lot in rural areas, specifically of uneducated white voters or non-college educated white voters who he picked up tremendously in. He increased turnout as well. But ultimately, he lost. And he lost because they couldn't cheat. He lost because they couldn't cheat hard enough. And they lost because he wasn't good enough as a president. If he had actually fucking dealt with COVID, he could have reaped the benefits like every other fucking world leader did. You think Jacinda Ardern suffered as a consequence of COVID? No. Why? Because she actually fucking dealt with it with appropriate measures. And that's why half the fucking world is living in a different reality than we are right now. Us and the UK are in the throes of yet another COVID disaster, yet another spike all around the country with people denying its existence. ICU capacity is at 0% in Los Angeles right now. 0%, I think, in all of California, if I'm not mistaken. But countries where we have Trump-style fucking psychopathic weirdos like Brazil or like the UK are fucking failing. And they're failing, and the people are angry, and they're agitated. And they showed their frustrations by voting against Donald Trump. They voted for a literal fucking carcass, dude. Imagine, a literal fucking carcass. A literal carcass ended up defeating Donald Trump. How do you think that happens? 65% of Democratic Party voters said that they were voting against Donald Trump. 75% of Trump voters said that they were voting for Trump. That's the difference. That's how bad Donald Trump was. That's not even the Capitol building. That's what they deployed just for the Lincoln Memorial. Yeah. Yeah. I'm asking once again, where is Kendall Jenner with a Pepsi? Good one, 99 Palace. Where is Kendall Jenner with a Pepsi when you need her?
Friends or colleagues continue with the objection. I think that is a disgrace. I think the reality is, first off, it was a fool's errand anyway. It was a grift, an attempt to raise money. And now, after this, if we, assuage these actions, we can only expect more in the future.
What was it like? I don't know if you actually heard Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's remarks today, but he essentially broke ranks with the president and said it's over, it's done in so many words. What was it like to hear that?
Well, it was good. I wish he'd have said it a while ago. But the bottom line is we have too many people
as we're evacuating. Bet they like us now. This is exactly what I'm saying, dude. This is what fucking happens when all of those fucking pigs are Trump supporters themselves. Okay? That's what the fuck happens, dude. Exactly. This motherfucker, when he's doing the one part of his job correctly that doesn't involve fucking like killing a black person, is doing it while still maintaining his grievance towards, you know, the Democratic politicians. They hate us. They hate us. Fuck, dude. First casualty graphic. Okay, don't click something. Confirm someone was shot. Breaking. DC paramedic source tells me one person was shot in Capitol. CPR is in progress. Detain the people by house floor. Yeah. Remember when Donald Trump said they laugh at us? They laugh at us all the time. Michigan this summer was 100% a test run. Yeah. Rioters break windows and enter the building. Can't wait for the remake with the clips from today instead of World War II clips. Yeah. I forget who did this joke originally, but like, you know, we have now officially entered the cool zone in history. We are now officially experiencing the immediate consequences of being a part of the cool zone in history.
To the people's house, otherwise we're no different than any.
Can't wait for Joe Biden to restore the soul of this nation, by the way. There is no soul restoration happening with bipartisan compromise. I'm just going to let you know right now. We need an FDR-style approach. Otherwise, we're fucked, okay? Because the next time these motherfuckers are not going to be calm. They're not going to be tempered. The next time there's someone who's like a little bit more intelligent or a little bit more ideologically consistent in their actual fascist interest, they're going to take this shit over in its entirety. Okay? Yeah, I know Trump has I forgot to run an ad at the top of the hour. I'm going to run it right now. Okay. I'm running a 1-minute ad right now. Sorry to all the non-subscribers. It's a contractual obligation. Here's the ad. Tea Party movements paved the way for this. Again, that is a great example. That is all astroturfed. Okay? The Tea Party movement didn't start on its own. The Tea Party movement started because the Koch brothers astroturfed that shit, okay? What the fuck? Oh no.
To us, he also declined on that, but there's kind of been, if those people were in fact to us, he also declined on that, but there's kind of been, if those people were in fact inside, a celebratory mood here for them as they make their way out. You can see up on the steps here where people are still gathered. Off to the left side of the steps, Capitol Police have kind of congregated in a group there, and they've been there for the last little bit, kind of just standing by to the side of these protesters. We have seen a couple snipers, or what appear to be snipers, on the roof of the U.S. Capitol. Other than that, though, the situation on this side has remained somewhat calm. It's not really the right word for this, but as you said, we have not seen any acts of violence per se right in front of us, but we have seen a forceful crowd as they made their way up to the front and initially passed through those bicycle barricades. They are still here, and as some people come out and claim to have been inside the U.S. Capitol, those people are then being greeted amongst this crowd as heroes of sorts, being cheered for going inside. One person who had come out, they had some sort of liquid water type thing on them. They said that they had been sprayed. But again, none of those people were willing to speak with us on camera. You can hear the crowd right now cheering some as they have flags, many of them Trump flags, a Don't Tread on Me flag held on both sides now have been put on have been hoisted up kind of on the sides there. So this crowd has stayed here where they are. Capitol Police on the side, not seeming to necessarily engage with the crowd here. But as I said, we haven't seen any sort of violent acts from the crowd here. But people who are claiming to have been inside are being celebrated as they make their way out. Lester?
Yeah, Allison, stand by a second. I just want to share from our investigative producer, Tom Witter, a spokesperson for the Washington, D.C. Fire and EMS, says they have several people have been treated for injuries, and there's an unconfirmed report. We'll wait to confirm it of a even more serious nature that we'll try to firm up. But Allison, as we watch this crowd, many of these people had gone to a protest, an organized, permitted protest today, and have followed the crowd here. Have you seen any children in the crowd?
Yeah, quite a few, actually. I don't know if we can walk a little and show you some of the people who are here. At various points throughout the day, we have seen families. We have seen people here with their dogs, with their pets. We were here all morning. We've been here since about 8 a.m.
Ken Klippenstein with breaking news. FBI source tells Ken that the Bureau's Washington field office has sent staff home fearing violence. If you're law enforcement and have any tips about the Capitol unrest, you can text Ken. You can text Ken at 202-510-1268 using Signal, okay? Update, FBI headquarters has also sent staff home for their safety, separate source tells me. If you're law enforcement with knowledge of the Capitol unrest, please text them. Leak it to Kenny Clips. Use Signal.
In the process, maybe inadvertently, but in the process of these barricades being breached and making their way up here. But not as many children here right now, and some people I think have stayed a little bit further back. But yeah, I mean, this was a largely peaceful protest. A lot of people had come throughout the day. At one point,
why did you show this? Why wouldn't I? Ken is my friend and he's a great repeople And I have 160,000 people in here, so there probably are some fucking people in law enforcement and shit that might even be there. There's a likelihood.
But other than that, things were calm. And then in that split second, you saw the crowd rush. You saw people break through.
Yeah, no, it's real peaceful, dude. I can see how peaceful it is.
Everything changed. But
a reminder that it is technically more peaceful than some of the Black Lives Matter protests that turned into riots because cops did not escalate. When cops don't escalate, shit remains relatively peaceful. It's still not fucking peaceful. Shots fired inside of the Capitol building and being able to storm the Capitol building. I don't think that signals peaceful or stability. But it's still relatively more peaceful than fucking burning buildings. And the reason for why it's relatively more peaceful than burning buildings is because when cops don't fucking push back and cops don't actually fucking start killing people, then if they don't escalate to an even more violent altercation, of course it's not going to turn into all-out bedlam and violence.
My entire career covering Congress, the idea of people who have broken into the Capitol and taken over the Senate floor. This is about a dozen folks who came from outside, and they're just mulling around looking through desks. There's a guy sitting there in the gallery above. He asked, "Who are you with? Who are you with?" And that was about time for me to go. Walking through the hallways, I have to say it's a weird scene in that there was, some protesters that were walking through the hallways, and Capitol Police were kind of following them, but they weren't necessarily arresting them. It's really unclear as to how they're really dealing with the protesters. I haven't seen any arrests, but I've also been locked in in our offices. So we're just sheltered in place at the moment right now. But I have to say that this scene that you're seeing right now on television is absolutely stunning. The idea that these people have come from outside and broken into the Capitol and decided to take the Senate floor like this, where just about an hour and a half or 2 hours ago they were debating an objection to the Electoral College. It's just a stunning scene.
Who you with?
Stunning doesn't even begin to describe it, Frank.
And exiting the building,
I think you're probably not alone. This is inside the chambers.
Jesus Christ.
Congress. People freely walking among the tables and the desks. It's just beyond unbelievable.
I mean, Lester,
I want to go to
just to kind of nail down this point, though. I mean, they still need to finish this count. They still need to be able to return here and do their work. And there's no way that this will require sweeps. I mean, once they actually clear the building, they'll have to sweep the chamber. I mean, the two chambers of the House and the Senate are basically known within the Capitol as two of the safest places in the entire Capitol Hill complex. I mean, and they're protected by Capitol Police. There are details for leadership members. I mean, this is just a completely outside of the realm of possibility situation in which that it's going to take an enormous amount of time just to clear out and to do a security sweep of the desks, of the hallways, of the rooms before they would be able to even start to count again.
All right, Frank, continue to stay safe inside there. On the phone with us is Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle from Pennsylvania. Congressman, first of all, are you in a safe location and okay with your colleagues?
Okay.
Congressman Boyle, do you hear me okay? Okay, we've lost him. We'll try to get him back and get a perspective of what's happening inside with.
I suspect that we will air these objections. I suspect the vote. We will air these objections. I suspect the votes will turn out so that he is the president-elect, and we will have a peaceful transfer of power. We absolutely should have a peaceful transfer of power.
I think the peace has been the peaceful part of the peaceful transference of power is. We're a little beyond that point. I think we've gone beyond the point of peaceful
disputes peacefully, and so that absolutely must be the case, George.
Congressman, thank you very much for your time. Stay safe. I want to bring Ben Siegel back. We have learned that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has in fact called in the National Guard.
George, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was now in a safe location. She was evacuated along with other congressional leaders when there was any sign of people that were starting to enter the Capitol. She has asked for the help of the National Guard, the D.C. National Guard, to clear the Capitol, which is now overwhelmed by people who have entered the building, possibly people who are armed, really overwhelming Capitol Police there who are just trying their hardest to protect members of Congress and their staff and journalists and others who are up there today. We don't have a sense yet whether that request has been fulfilled, but we know that they're working. Capitol Police up there is working with other police agencies in D.C. Around the Capitol to try to bring some order to the building. But right now it's still chaos. You have members hiding in their offices. You have journalists hiding with members of both parties in undisclosed locations where they're telling colleagues not to say where they are, so they don't bring anybody around to try to find them. And really no sense of when the business of Congress to certify the election results, when this can resume in the near future. It's just still utter chaos on the Hill right now.
It is so clear that it is right now. Okay, Ben, we want you to stay safe as well. I want to bring in Congressman Tom Suozzi, who was in the House chamber, one of the last people in the House chamber as the protesters approached. What can you tell us, Congressman?
It was really an unfortunate day for the United States of America, and it's continuing as we speak. We were in the chambers. The debate was going on. There were many people up in the gallery as well. And we were told that the Capitol had been breached. People were getting different text messages and watching things on social media. They asked us to go under our chairs, and there were gas masks underneath the chairs. And
the biohazard suits are out of closets. Jesus Christ. I guess they're going to gas the entire fucking Congress. That's our boy Touring News. Okay. Oh shit. NTD is talking to protesters. Let's see what fucking the Falun Gong Let's see what the Falun Gong psychos are fucking covering this protest. They've played a significant role in the radicalization of a lot of these white supremacist agitators and Trump-supporting freaks. So let's see what the NTD has to say about what's going on currently. Oh, never mind. They're no longer interviewing anyone. It seems like.
Holding room with a lot of other members of Congress after we were evacuated out of the floor in the gallery area.
Can you tell us how things played out when you became aware of that the Capitol had been breached and how you were let out?
So we initially got alert on our phone. The Capitol Police were just extraordinary in keeping us updated.
Brett Baer reports that the request for National Guard is being analyzed with the Pentagon is concerned with the optics of uniformed military personnel in the Capitol building.
Chemical irritants that were deployed in various parts of the Capitol.
Optics?
And so we made a couple efforts at trying to evacuate, but at one point that became difficult because there were people banging on the doors of the floor.
This is insanity, dude.
And so at that point in time, there was
what optics, bro? This country is fucking done.
And barricade the doors. And it took multiple efforts for us to be able to make our way safely and then depart the Capitol and gallery areas where we were gathered to participate in what is our constitutional duty of counting electors. It's a straightforward process that is supposed to be procedural, but one that we were intending to carry out today.
The optics are that I have to fucking pee.
Did you come face to face with any of the protesters?
Dude, I did not think that this was going to happen. I'm honest. I'll be honest with you. I did not fucking think that it was going to get to this point. I really thought that the police were just going to be like, yeah, fuck off, and actually fucking build barricades and shit. And that they were going to fucking yell outside of the halls of Congress, outside of the Capitol building, and go the fuck home. I did not think that their level of entitlement was going to reach this level so that they could actually feel like they can legitimately go and fucking storm the Capitol building and basically fucking take over like this. It's insane.
Evacuated out of the gallery. We
Are you guys
did not
adding
go in the
XQC?
direction where there was the chemical irritant. And so I had mine on for a bit, but mostly had it off and didn't come in contact with any of the irritant.
Police complain about defunding, but they can't even do their fucking jobs. They never do. Police photos of the police arresting Trump supporters inside the Capitol building.
The Capitol. Give me your thoughts, how we got here, and where do we go forward?
You know, I'm a former intelligence officer, and my
You didn't read my joke? Oh, I didn't see. What did he say?
The challenges that foreign governments are facing. The scene that we saw on Capitol Hill, the banging, the yelling, the screaming, the demands to enter the chamber.
We need Shroud up in this bitch right now, dude.
Those are the sorts of things that happen in third world nations, the sorts of places where our diplomats and intelligence officers write home to the United States.
It's insane. I can't believe that this is happening, dude.
This is a dangerous scenario. This is an endangered democracy. It's deeply, deeply disturbing what we saw.
Oh, let's see what these fucking freaks are saying. Hold on.
And but my appreciation to the Capitol Police.
Abigail Spanberger is literally CIA, by the way, Democratic CIA operative.
Our staff, our teams, the cafeteria workers, sanitation workers, and employees of the Capitol and members of the press safe as they work to systematically ensure that active threats were subdued and that we could get to a safe place.
How can you not believe that this is happening? I did not think that it would get to this level. Do I think that obviously, inevitably, years and years of winding up people with light to not so light white supremacist agitation would ultimately manifest itself in violent ways in exactly the same way that it is played out in history time and time again? The closest example being like Nazi Germany. Yes, of course I thought it was going to get to that level eventually. Obviously, there's only one way to get out of this. Either you solve the economic inequality, the underlying problems that create an environment ripe for radicalization, or you fucking deal with it in the fascist way. And it seems like we're, of course, leaning towards dealing with it in the fascist way, not solving any of the underlying problems, but instead solving them when it comes to an inevitable end where you have to use violent force. I mean, if you look at legitimate acts of domestic terrorism over the course of the past 4 years, that very clearly happened as a consequence of Trump's insane ramblings. Like the El Paso shooting. Numerous fucking shootings that have occurred in the hands of Trump supporters. Parkland shooting was a Trump supporter. Consistently avoiding the reality. Consistently avoiding why this is happening. And then also on top of that, legitimizing the MAGA psychopathy. Of course, inevitably, these entitled freaks were going to think that they can literally go in and storm the fucking Capitol building and take over and be like, I don't care that Donald Trump lost. Okay? Of course it's going to happen. But I did not think that it was going to happen today. And I did not think that this was going to happen right now in the way that it did. We don't have enough information on who was shot. One person has been shot. We don't know if they're dead. We don't know who the person was. We don't know what the details are. Okay.
Injuries. And we're told now by 2 separate law enforcement agencies that one person was shot inside the U.S. Capitol.
I think a woman.
A short time ago by a member of law enforcement. Now, we don't know what law enforcement person this was, whether it was someone from the Capitol Police, from Metro Police. I mean, there are a number of different police agencies that are responsible for security in that area. And when there is something like this, there's an all hands on deck kind of response from a number of different police agencies that can respond to help, police and federal agencies. So we don't know which organization was involved. But and we don't know what the condition was of the person who was shot, and we don't know the circumstances of it. All I can report is that law enforcement officials tell us that one person was shot inside the U.S. Capitol by a member of law enforcement.
All right, Pete Williams, thank you for adding that. It's extraordinary that we have not. There's. Right now, it seems to be no effort, at least from the outside, to remove anyone. But at the same time, no one here is advancing. The picture has remained rather constant here on both sides of the Capitol. People crowded in, waving flags, essentially moving their rally to the doorstep.
The real crazy thing was when Hillary Clinton supporters put on their pussy hats in 2016 after Hillary Clinton lost and conceded. Remember when they stormed the Capitol building with guns and got into violent conflict with the police? Oh wait, that didn't happen. Oh shit, that didn't happen because normal human beings with normal brains don't fucking react this way to losing a goddamn election, just like Hillary Clinton, for all of her fucking failures and faults and how horrible of a person she is in real life, literally still fucking conceded the election, the results of the election. This is what happens when you fucking unleash a freak. Republicans played with fire. They let Donald Trump take control of the Republican Party. They also created an environment that was perfect for Donald Trump to seize control. Like, the reason why Kelly Loeffler, a robot in every sense of the fucking word, a bored housewife that decided she wanted to fucking win a Senate, to get appointed to a Senate seat because she was just fucking bored, and a billionaire, by the way. The reason why she got as close as she did to actually winning that election over a dude by the name of Reverend Raphael Warnock, who has literally been a community leader and an advocate for years, throughout his entire fucking life. The reason why she almost defeated him was because she played the part. What did she do? How did she play the part? She played the part by just LARPing as a Georgian, by going out and fucking buying out the LL Bean, shooting vest category, wearing an expensive denim trucker hat with an American flag on it. And that was enough for the Georgians to say, okay, she's one of us. For Georgian Republicans to say, she's one of us, I'm going to vote for her. Why? That did not happen in a vacuum. We got here after years and years and years of racial agitation. We got here with the states' rights argument. We got here with opposition to the civil rights movement by conservatives. This didn't happen. Donald Trump didn't like magically come out of nowhere. He's literally smart enough to fucking recognize that if you feed the hogs a little bit of slop, if you center your campaign around white grievances and portray that as stability, true stability, and talk about a time when things were actually a lot better. A lot better for who? Well, that's up for question. A lot better why? That's also up for question. A lot better for the working class, specifically the white working class, because we had manufacturing jobs here. You have someone like that shift the blame away from the actual capital owners, moving their factories overseas because there's no way to compete with the lack of labor protections or lack of labor regulations in places like China, for example. If you shift the responsibility and blame away from those guys who very clearly do not have an interest in like making sure that American citizens are well fed or anything like that, and only care about their bottom line, and you shift that responsibility away and deflect it on the most marginalized individuals in American society right now, like undocumented immigrants or black people or fucking brown people with no significant and legitimate opposition from the Democratic Party as well, then of course it's going to get to a point where these fucking sick hogs are going to get radicalized on Facebook. They're going to get radicalized on YouTube. They're going to get radicalized by others who are also trying to make money by feeding into this system. This is what happens. Second death is a women shot in the neck. Okay. Why can't the left organize protests as well? Because these protests because these aren't people that are against the status quo. Okay? That's why they are able to organize effectively, because these people started off with the Tea Party movement, for example. The Tea Party movement was literally astroturfed by billionaires. Okay? And they were taken seriously by mainstream media for the longest time. Like, oh, they're just, they just are against deficit spending. Fuck off. No, they weren't. They were against deficit spending, but they kept lynching, Barack Obama puppets at their rallies because they were just upset at Barack Obama's reckless spending. I guess that's why. Northam says Virginia National Guard and Northam says sending Virginia National Guard and troopers to D.C. Yeah. What the fuck did you think was going to happen if conservative grievances were legitimized in mainstream media for years, and this was the only source of like conservatives for the most part literally participating in politics? Conservatives only participate in politics through cultural grievances, through cultural grievance points. And this is the final logical outcome of that reality. This. Leftist organizing can't come near this because there is no way. It's like saying, why don't cooperative corporations, why aren't there more cooperative corporations? Because they don't form under a capitalist organization of the economy in the same way that regular corporations are formed. Because there's wealth accumulation. If you're on the side of billionaires, it doesn't matter how fucking racist you are. Billionaires will literally use that racism, if it benefits them, to galvanize, to agitate, to organize. Just like Donald Trump literally did that. But he wasn't doing anything new. What he was simply doing is acting out on the very obvious desires that he saw from the unwashed masses. That's all he did. Virginia's governor says Virginia National Guard and 200 state troopers are being sent to respond to the situation in D.C. Do these people look rich to you? No, it's not the rich that are fucking... Man, the rich are never out there. You think fucking Charles Koch is going to go out there and yell? No, motherfucker. Rich people work behind the scenes. They don't need to do this. They can get these people together by setting up fucking Facebook groups and shit. By getting organizers to literally set up paid demonstrations. Are you crazy? Just like it's not the fucking senator's son that dies in battle, okay? It's the goddamn union plumber's son that goes out and goes overseas and gets fucking clapped in Afghanistan. It's never the rich people that fight these battles. And also, by the way, a lot of these people do have a legitimate amount of disposable income. They're not from fucking DC, dog. They flew in. They took 2 days off of work. And they fucking flew into DC. They had disposable income to be able to do that. So, no, these aren't fucking, like, literally incredibly poor people in desolate conditions protesting this way. This is a rich man's protest. People are already trying to spin this and blame Antifa. Good luck. Just spoke with my father and he's okay in the midst of this insanity and ugliness. Thank God. Okay. Bernie is safe. Ilhan Omar is safe as far as we know. Good.
Spot because it's not a state. So questions about what the Defense Department may do in that instance, we are waiting to find out and are in touch with the Speaker's office. But it has been an incredibly difficult day here on Capitol Hill. It started, of course, with the initial proceedings to begin the process to ratify President-elect Joe Biden as President of the United States. That all unfolded, it seemed, as it should have at the beginning. But of course, these protesters approached the building, ultimately breached the Capitol, and then breached the House and Senate floors, which is not something I don't think anyone who was walking into this building today anticipated. And certainly those of us who have been working up here every day for many, many years now have never seen anything like this before. So you are seeing increasingly Republicans coming out and calling on President Trump to urge the people who are here to stand down. Kevin McCarthy, the House leader, was recently interviewed on Fox News. He called it un-American. He said it needs to stop. He said that he didn't even want to talk about some of the things that he had seen in the chamber. He referenced shots fired, and I know our Pete Williams reported that. Our producer Haley Talbot was in the House of Representatives in the gallery watching the floor as events unfolded there, as the Capitol Police barricaded one of the doors as they evacuated members of the House of Representatives. Some of those members donning gas masks that are situated under the chairs in that chamber because there were chemical irritants that were discharged in the attempts to try and clear these protests. So at this point, we do know members of congressional leadership are safe. Members of the House and Senate are being taken to undisclosed locations, most of them already in those undisclosed locations if they weren't part of those initial groups. I've texted with several members of the Senate who have said that they are safe, that they feel safe at this point. So it does seem as though that element of this has been diffused, at least. The last few minutes here have felt more like stasis. The members who are involved in the actual functioning of our government have been removed from the immediate danger of the situation. And now the question is, how are they going to move forward and secure the building? So we are here in the Russell Senate office building, where things have been largely quiet. Across the street, of course, the Capitol building, where you can see those protesters still milling around. But again, Savannah, important to underscore, this has halted the process, the regular process of our government.
Yeah, Casey, that's where I was going. I mean, this is January 6th. This is a date that was in stone. This is when you're supposed to certify the electors for the transition of power.
I don't know. BNO News is not always the best
right now.
But
I heard one congressman on one of the cable networks saying, a Republican congressman, a Trump supporter,
I'll be back, saying
he wants the president to say, call it off, to do more, to say more right now. So far, as this has unfolded, at first we saw a tweet from the president talking about how Mike Pence, the vice president, had let him down by not doing something that was not within his power to do. But then he also has said we should support our law enforcement. But he has, Casey, to be clear, we haven't heard the president say to these protesters, stop, it's over, as this Republican Congressman Trump supporter has said he wishes the president would do now?
And you're absolutely right. And there are more Republicans who are saying that is exactly what needs to happen. Senator Marco Rubio is saying that that is what it would mean to support law enforcement. Law enforcement have been overrun here. And the reality is that this is supposed to be a formal transfer of power from one administration to the next. And in fact, Senator Mitch McConnell was on the floor of the Senate, someone who critics have said waited too long to criticize President Trump. But even he this morning was saying we have to believe these results. If we don't, then our democracy is going to begin a decline. A death spiral was the phrase that he used. So that's how we started the day. And then just minutes later, this scene unfolds in the United States Capitol, which, again, I think it's important to realize most of these procedures are laid out in the Constitution. They are some of the oldest things that govern how we govern ourselves, how we work as a democracy. It's certainly something that I know many members of Congress who I talk to every day have taken great pride in being a part of that democracy. And right now we're seeing it halted by these people.
Absolutely.
Savannah.
Casey, sorry to cut you off. I want to jump to a member of Congress, Brendan Boyle, who's a Democrat from Pennsylvania. I believe he's on the phone. Congressman, I mean, first of all, are you safe? Are you okay? I don't expect you to tell us where you are, but what can you tell us about how you're doing right now?
Mike Pence on follow Trump on Twitter. Who cares?
I'm safe, myself and a few other younger staffers I'll just say in my office, the building in which my office is located. Capitol Police have been running through the hallway, so you'll occasionally hear a commotion.
Well, how will Trump?
I'm not sure.
How will Trump live this one down, dude?
The protesters, and then just continuing
drama
to
Mondays,
wait on
dude.
further updates from the Capitol Police.
And what did you witness today? What have you seen?
Well, I've obviously never seen anything like this before. And, you know, it wasn't a surprise that we were going to have this large crowd of protesters. So it's still a mystery to me how this crowd was able, within about 10 or 12 minutes of starting, able to breach both sides of the Capitol, both the east side and the west side.
We already watched when they first stormed in.
Or right around the House chamber, as well as apparently from texts I'm getting from friends of mine who serve in the Senate, they were able to get into the Senate chamber as well. So that is just absolutely inexplicable to me that this happened. But ultimately, though, the bigger threat, in my view, is not the thousands of people who are here today, even though they're armed and they are a threat. The bigger threat is actually those who have incited them all along the way, cheering this on. That's the real threat.
Well, at this point, what are you hoping? How do you think this will be resolved? And do you think Congress will be able to complete its constitutional duty? I mean, even though there seems to be a moment right now of stasis, for lack of a better word, right now, the Capitol is not under control. It's still infiltrated by people who have broken through barriers and broken across the lines to come over and come inside the Capitol. I mean, look at the image. I don't know if you can see it. We're seeing people inside offices, ceremonial offices, and real working offices inside the Capitol who have barged in and having their way with the place. So assuming that this can be gotten under control, a law enforcement matter, would it be your hope that Congress reconvene today and try to complete its constitutional duty?
Cops are taking selfies?
Well, I immediately have two thoughts. The first is it's absolutely sickening to see militia or armed mob bring us to the point. Never in 1,000 years did I ever think I would see this in the capital of the United States of America. But then my second thought is, I don't care how long I have to stay here. We are going to do our damn constitutional duty. There's no way I'm going to be chased off the capital of my own country by this mob and whoever is inciting them. Yes, we will do the people's duty.
Keep saying that over and over again.
Ensure our constitutional process, come hell or high water, is followed, and that Joe Biden is inaugurated as president of the United States on the 20th of January.
The left uses violence, the right uses their voice.
Boyle,
Difference matters.
Your time this afternoon. Stay safe, and you, and also all of the congressional staffers, a lot of young men and women who work there at the Capitol and are never seen. I wish them well as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
About 3:45 on the East Coast, as you can see, this protest, whatever you want to call it, It's not a peaceful protest, as the demonstrators here have crossed barriers. They've crossed a line, and they are now breaching the United States Capitol, forcing the Senate and House to evacuate and pause in the middle of a cherished and sacred constitutional duty having to do with the peaceful transfer of power. Debate is one thing. Protest is one thing. That's not what we're watching here, Lester, and we'll continue to keep our eye on
what
it.
debate? What fucking protest, dude? Of course they did this, dude. Of course. How violent has it gotten? No deaths, but shots have been fired inside the chamber. I think in the House. I don't know if it's in the Senate, but it's not. Some woman got. We don't know. We don't know if she died or not. But this is what McCarthy said on Fox. Too late.
Here, it's just unclear what the situation is right now.
Okay, want to bring in. Thank you so much, Grace. Stay safe. I want to quickly bring in Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader. Leader McCarthy, do you condemn this violence?
I completely condemn the violence in the Capitol. What we're currently watching unfold is un-American. I'm disappointed. I'm sad.
Oh, really, dude? Is it un-American, dude? Oh, that's so crazy. What the fuck did you guys think was gonna happen, dude? Y'all did this shit, dude. Like, what do you mean? Like, how many Turning Point USA people had to be outed as Nazis? And then Donald Trump still attended their fucking organizations. Oh no, I can't believe all of our racial agitation and like literally riling up these fucking sick hogs ultimately ended with those sick hogs acting out on the desires that we placed there for them because we made it seem like Trump was the savior. It's so un-American. Yeah, like, of course, dude. Of course this was going to happen.
Look like this is not who we are. This is not the First Amendment.
To be fair, I don't think that it was going to happen now. Like, I didn't think that this was going to happen in this way, in the way that it did, and today. But this kind of violence and worse kinds of violence is, of course, inevitable. History repeats itself.
This has to stop, and this has to stop now.
Have you spoken with the president and asked him to perhaps come to the Capitol and tell the supporters it's time to leave?
It was an explosive device.
I've spoken to the president. I asked him to talk to the nation.
It was found at the RNC and detonated safely.
This is not who we are. We are the beacon of freedom. We
must have been Antifa. It seems like the crowd is getting bigger out there, by the way, for the record.
Show democracy, how we should act. We show the rest of the world, and this is not it. I don't know who in the crowd is doing this. I know there's good and bad. This has got to stop. This is unacceptable. What the Capitol Police have had to do, what the danger that it's put other people in, the people are being hurt.
I can't believe, and I'm so glad you brought our Capitol.
Oh, our Capitol Police, dude. How do you restore? Hey, when the cat's out of the bag, when Pandora's box is open, how do you put it back in? That's the real question. There's two ways of conflict resolution, something I talk about all the time. De-escalation and an understanding, a mutual agreement, some sort of understanding, some sort of resolution to this conflict by peaceful means. Okay? Or an escalation of violence until the conflict is squashed with a fuckload of death. Same argument goes for dealing with immigration, considering it if you consider it a national crisis or not. Same argument stands for Black Lives Matter protests. And the same argument stands here as well. How do you deal with this? Do we just go back and forget that this ever happened? How do we deal with this instability? Do we act like these people are normal? Do we act like just Trump supporters that do shit like this are normal? Just like we acted as though they had legitimate grievances for the longest fucking time. Is that what we're going to do? After El Paso, when a Trump supporter literally a white supremacist Trump supporter drove 7 hours to go kill Mexicans at the El Paso Walmart and succeeded. We forgot about that. We pretended like these people are fucking normal. When Michigan militia members were openly salivating about kidnapping a governor. And then Trump literally was like, she should be a little bit more thoughtful about what she says. We acted like that was normal. We acted like that was, you know, just a random instance. It's just some of them. They're being a little crazy. They're being a little crazy. They're being wild. But what do you expect? This is the same nation that forgot about gun control after Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook occurred. We saw little babies get gunned down, and we forgot about it. Because the power of gun manufacturers, or the power of capital, was far too important. It was far more important than the safety of American citizens. So how do we deal with this? This is going to keep growing. And at a certain point, silencing them is not going to work either. At a certain point, changing the Facebook algorithm and enforcing rigorous controls over what kind of speech gets disseminated on these airwaves is not going to help. It's over. Cat's out of the bag. You have to do something about the material conditions, the underlying problems in which this level of radicalization manifests. And I promise you it's not going to be marginal, incrementalist, bipartisan approaches by Joe Biden, who acts like Republican politicians are just simply waiting to be convinced on good policies. Okay? This is not like West Wing. We don't live in that world where, you know, if I make the best argument, then Republicans will finally concede. It's like, no, they won't. You saw Mitch McConnell make that mental calculation not that long ago that you do not deserve $2,000. Corporations get trillions. You do not deserve a fucking breadcrumb. You don't deserve it. And he did that because he didn't want to inspire a sense of entitlement in the American population. Because, you know, if Americans can believe that the government will give you $2,000, then why shouldn't they believe that the government should give you even more than $2,000? That is the long-standing conservative project, even before the Reagan era, but especially accelerated under Ronald Reagan. Fake calls to unite us is not going to get us there. Talking about restoring the soul of this nation is not going to get us there. You have to examine the significant underlying material inequalities. In the short term, you might have to use the National Guard, or you might have to do something to stop this protest as it stands. But this will happen again if you don't deal with the problems. As someone also pointed out, those people don't look really wealthy. Yeah. It's not fucking wealthy people that go out. It's not billionaires and millionaires that go out and do these protests. They are the ones who agitate the fucking hogs that go out and act out in this way. And it is literally gotten out of control. It's gotten to a point where they can't deal with it anymore. It's gotten out of hand. Partially because they used Trump to effectively dismantle the federal government. And Trump is not interested in the long-standing ideological conservative project. He's not interested in that. He's interested in Trump. He's interested in himself. And he's a petty bitch who loves drama. And that will literally extend to telling his fucking supporters, riling them up to the point where they believe in a false reality that, like, Trump actually won, and they need to fucking fight for democracy in the way that they understand it. Because the democratic process means no Democratic votes and only Republican votes that matter.
And the way that it is being perceived and happening here in the United States and around the world as well. As far as the president goes, another one of his allies, his again, more and more of his allies coming out now saying
Thank
he
you,
needs to appear.
2BR02BKV.
There was a mention perhaps of, and we heard earlier some reporting, question marks, excuse me, as our studios are kind of going off here, I'm just going to hang this phone up, question marks on whether the president would deliver, for example, a written statement, a speech. A written statement isn't going to cut it at this point. And frankly, Lester, I think there is also a fair question of whether a formal deliverance of remarks from President Trump is enough to